Hello, everyone. I hope that you all are doing great. I welcome all of you to our podcast where we will explore how to handle tough times and build happy relationships. So, in today's podcast, we have Professor Dr. Smriti Sethi, who is from Amity University, Noida, and then we have Professor Dr. Kanchan Yadav, who is from Graphicera University, Dehradun.
Hello.
So, in today's podcast, we will dwell into the insightful conversation together. So, I would like Dr. Smriti ma'am and Dr. Kanchan Yadav ma'am to say a few lines about themselves. So, we will start with Smriti ma'am.
Thank you, Sneha, for warm welcome. And I thank this platform of Speaking Cube to give me this opportunity to connect to all the participants of the upcoming conference also, which we are going to, have on 16th and 17th of March. And I also welcome with us Kanchan ma'am from Graphic Era Institute. And I would like to share about myself that I have been working with Amity University for the past 16 years now. And it has been a wonderful experience as an academician and a researcher. And definitely, I'm looking forward to more such opportunities of research work being done in such a theme of mindfulness and happy relations.
I welcome you, Smriti ma'am. Thank you so much to be here. So, okay, ma'am, Kanchan ma'am, please say a few lines about yourself.
Hi, Sneha. I'm thankful to you, thankful to Deepika ma'am for inviting me. I'm working in graphic era for last 5 years, but I'm been teaching for last, I guess, 9 to 10 years. So I have been teaching and doing research work for a very long period of time, and I just wanted to be it's a practical thing, like the people who practice with the people who are facing troubles or problems in their life. Like, the theme of this conference is about mindfulness and trauma, how mindfulness can be helpful and can be used in people who has experienced trauma in their life. So this is something which which would I like to work upon. So thank you so much for inviting me, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I welcome you. So, let's start this conversation. So, we have some questions from a common person point of view. So, as we all are aware that relationship challenges are increasingly common among our generation, that is our youth generation, right? So, with that in mind, our first question dwells into addressing these issues. So,
Mhm.
the first question is, how does mindfulness play a role in fostering a supportive and nurturing environment for both oneself and a partner within a relationship?
Okay.
Let's start with Kanchan ma'am, that how a mindfulness play a role in fostering a supportive and nurturing environment for both oneself and a partner in a relationship.
Yes, right. Actually, first of all, what is mindfulness? We have to
Correct.
understand what mindfulness is. We are using this word again and again, but we are not very much aware of it, right? So, what you must know about mindfulness is कि you are uh, very mindful, or you are sensing your thoughts, emotions, and you are non-judgmental about it. The all the negatives and positive thoughts are coming, but you are taking them as they are. You are not judging them. The ability of your brain is always to analyze things. So mindfulness practices helps you to not analyze, but just take those thoughts or emotion as they are coming and let them go, right? And when you are mindful about your relationships, yes, conflicts will always arise. There will always be some differences in thoughts, some differences in emotions. But a mindful person will understand, will be empathetic towards his partners, right? He will be open to different ideas, and that is what a partner requires, right? So yes, mindfulness practices are very much into helping or fostering relationship amongst people or partners or whatever relations the person is having with, right? So yes, it is quite helpful in promoting good relationship, authentic relationship, you may say.
I would like to add here that definitely mindfulness, as ma'am mentioned, it fosters a very supportive and nurturing environment for us to build our relationship further. And definitely on day-to-day basis, we are not always having, healthy emotions. There are times when we go through the negative or, not so positive emotions also. So in that regard, mindfulness helps individuals to, recognize and manage their own emotions without, as ma'am mentioned, being judgmental about it. So when both the partners they practice mindfulness, they are aware of here and now, they can better understand what emotional, reactions or responses they have for each other as well. And I would add here that empathy and compassion, they are important elements of being into any relationship. And definitely with partnership, the presence of both empathy towards others and being compassionate in a relationship is going to add as an ingredient to healthy relationships.
Yes, ma'am. Right. I guess somewhere we lost in words between mindfulness and mindful presence. So, can we discuss on this topic of mindful presence and how it impacts relationship and its role in fostering deeper connection and intimacy within a relationship?
I would say certainly yes, Neha. Mindful presence is a very, very powerful, like, practice that can involve us being fully engaged in the present moment, without judging, without distractions, without overwhelming thoughts and experiences that one is going through. It definitely plays a crucial role in fostering the deeper connections, the intimacy, between the partners within that relationship. And particularly it helps to understand our partner's emotions and the the physical environment in which the partners are living, sustaining very well. It also encourages them to observe their own experiences without labeling whether it is going good, bad, allowing them to attune with the present moment. And if you ask me, the relationships, they have a very bigger role in our life. It provides us with the safe space. It provides us with building up of strong trust relationship among the partners, helps to reduce the reaction kind of a thing which can trigger a lot of emotions within us. So it prevents us from being impulsive in responding to our partners or any strained relationship that one is going through.
Yes, actually, in these days, people are using mobile phone. They are very technologically driven. Na? So
Mm.
when they are sitting together, they are into their mobile phone rather than talking to each other. They are in their mobile phones. So there it is required mindful presence. When you are with each other, you have to be each other with each other only. You should share your thoughts, your opinions, your whatever issues you have been dealing with. That is what mindful presence is. You actually understands what is going on um, with his life, your partner's life, in your partner's life, and you people are sharing your troubles, sharing your happy moments with each other. That is what mindful presence is, in my view. Right? And it is very much required in today's world, very much. Even the children are sitting together and they all are in their mobile phones only. They are not talking to each other. This is something which is happening around us. So
Yes,
people
ma'am.
must understand.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, how mindful presence can play a role in a relationship, especially for those who have experienced trauma.
Mm.
There's a
Exactly.
difference.
When a person has experienced trauma, he is having lots of trouble regarding trust. They are experiencing trust issues because they lack this trust in themselves now. No, they lack this confidence. They are having problem with attachment with other person. They are not open to people, open to new people, new establishing new relationship. So these are the problems the person who has experienced trauma in their life must be dealing with. So with mindfulness practice, he will realize that the trauma which has been passed, which has been happened in the past, should not affect his present life, should must not matlab, disturb his present life and his future relationship, right? So when he practices this, when he incorporate all those mindfulness practices in his daily life, he will realize this, I have to come out of this behavioral pattern which is not helping me in my life, right? So he will take some steps, small minute steps, to overcome his problems, right? So maybe that could be a first step to open up and build some trust with the people around him, right? And one will be able to understand that those moments, those difficult moments, cannot define my life, right? Here, my life is more than that, I must say. What is your take, ma'am? Smriti ma'am?
I would agree with you, ma'am, as you mentioned. And for having a trust, one also believes that, you know, trust is building up between, the partners to, have a safe emotional space within
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And along with that, I also would like to add here, ma'am, that while they are communicating with each other, it is not just the communication of, verbatim, the verbal communication that is happening. There is non-verbal communication that is
Hmm.
also happening. Listening, you know uh, in the presence, mindful presence, it is very, very important. As you mentioned with the mobile phone thing, I think it was a very apt example, because many times we are we are into things and we are trying to connect. But when we are with our partners, we expect that they give us that safe emotional space. And definitely, after that, trauma that the person has had, it can impact their, physical intimacy. It can impact them at the, psychological level. So to connect to your partner at a deeper level, for the psychological support, then definitely, mindful, presence is required. And we can
Right.
cultivate it with, the steps. We can get the training, we can get the support. And probably, we can understand what triggers us, what can, help us to communicate to our partners what we are feeling in the present. And probably that can help them to, majorly, balance out, have the equilibrium.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, as we are talking about the mindfulness, so how can mindfulness practices help individuals cope with past traumas and cultivate resilience in their daily lives? How a person can build a resilience?
Okay. Okay, I think I would like to add here that definitely for cultivating mindfulness, there are times, when you are already going through the trauma and you don't know how to come out of that cycle, vicious cycle that is formed around you in your surrounding. Probably you are also in the process of healing. Maybe your healing is slow or it is going to take a little longer time, but at the same time, when you are in the process of self healing, then mindfulness, presence, it can actually be cultivated by training one's own self through the help of the professional support that you can get. So I would like to add here that self compassion being uh, the first and foremost to help oneself to be kind to one's own self, acknowledge your own feelings without judging them, whether it is going right, it is right in the moment or not, being in the present, and understanding that yes, this is what I'm going through, I'm living this in the moment. Then there are few practical steps that we can adapt, we can learn, like breathing exercise. We can focus on our own breathing pattern and ground ourselves in the present moments. There are a lot of exercises which are already available also, but go for the authentic one if anybody wants to take up the self training process also. Then along with that, I would say that mindful listening, where truly listening to your partner without interrupting or planning your response, that this is what I'm going to speak up. Then I think the sensory awareness about one's own self, I think that is the most easiest one to get to learn, that how I can practice mindful presence of my here and now.
Right. I would like to add one more thing, to be resilient, right? To be a resilient person, you must have experienced some adversity, of course, but you must know how to be self compassionate towards oneself, right? You should give me time. That me time is all about your self care, right? The women, they can give time to their to have some spend some time in spa, or get some massage or some beauty treatment. That is also one way of caring for oneself, and it will give you that worthiness, that I'm worthy enough to have a good life as well, right? And you will realize ki uh, we must be able to say no to others who are somehow unintentionally crossing the boundaries. There must be some boundaries we must set for ourselves, and make other people recognize that you must not cross, or you must not be disrespectful to me or to other person, right? That is also one form of self care. And I must say self care is the most important thing for any person who has experienced some kind of trauma in their life. Very much, very important. Boundaries are very much important. And yes, the self care. Now, how to be self compassionate? By practicing self care. And for women, I think it's very much important, very, very important thing. And that is how we can build our resilience as well.
Absolutely, I agree with you totally, Kanchan ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, I would too, because most of the times we forget about ourselves in our
Yeah,
daily life basis. We forget how important we are, and how important is to take care of ourselves and setting boundaries. As you have
right.
rightly mentioned, that setting boundaries is a form of building resilience. So, ma'am, with that, we will move further with our next question. That is, how does trauma affect our ability to form and maintain healthy relationships? And how does mindfulness help navigate these challenges, our daily life challenges? So we will start with Smriti ma'am.
Yes, dear. Can I have the question one more time, please?
Yes, ma'am. That how does trauma affect our ability to form and maintain healthy relationships?
Okay. So, trauma can significantly impact our ability to form and maintain the healthy relationships. Now, let's try to explore how trauma affects relationship and how the second part of the question, that is mindfulness, can be a very valuable tool in navigating these challenges. I would like to emphasize here that the effect of trauma on relationship can happen with the very first, thing, that is a thought process. So when one is facing the trauma, is going through the trauma, then the effect of trauma on relationship is how one is thinking about oneself, about others. So self perception and social perception, it also, is impacted because of the trauma. Why I'm living anymore here, and how is it going to help me? My loved one is already not there, or any other trauma that the person has been going through. So that trauma can alter the way we think about ourselves and others in the world. And probably, this is very, very important. Our thought process for feeling and for acting, in the healthier manner, will also be hampered because of that. Secondly, the effect of trauma on relationship is where the person becomes very hyper alert, and the trauma can activate our brains, fear center, and it can lead to, fight or flight or freeze response state for once. And even after the traumatic event, our brain may remain hyper alert, causing us to react to strongly to, perceived threats. So it gives us a state of numbness, and we feel very dissociated with our outer world. So trauma can also lead to the dissociation, and the person may feel, emotionally numb, or may not feel anything what is happening outside. What one doesn't feel what is happening inside. So this can lead to the chronic or inescapable, state for a person. And mindfulness here, it helps, as an approach to adapt the skills which can help in a very unique way to process, the trauma survivors for the need they have in the moment. It may acknowledge them with some aspects of mindfulness that can help to reduce the, triggers for the trauma survivors. So one can choose to, be healed with the present moment. And mindfulness is definitely one of the strong, powerful tool to, cultivate in the process of healing and reconnecting to one's inner resources as well as one's outer world.
Yeah, one more thing I would like to add is there are two kinds of living. The one is mindless living and the other is mindful living. The people who are automatically inclined towards mindful living, they don't react, they respond. Right? The person who has suffered from trauma, he is in always in a autopilot mode. Autopilot mode is whenever something triggers, he has to react, he has to anyhow react, and in a negative way only. He will be not thinking or not giving a conscious thought to what is happening. If some moment has been happened and he felt angry, he will react in some manner. A person who is living in a mindful way will think and will have the remote of his emotion in his own hand, and he will respond according to his will, not other person's will, right? Though he will be more conscious, he will be more accepting, he will be letting all the thoughts coming, he will acknowledge those thoughts and let it go. He will be able to let all those thoughts, emotions go. He will not react to this. So that is how mindfulness help a person to overcome all those difficult moments he has been suffering or he has suffered in the past. So that that kind of self awareness will be developed to the person who is practicing mindfulness. It's a kind of exercise like other physical exercise. It is also kind of an exercise which a person must practice, and with time he will develop this self awareness that I should not react but respond to various situations which are happening around him. That is what I would like to say.
Definitely, it is going to support in the
Yeah.
recovery of the trauma
Aha.
zone.
And that is how healing will take place
Yes.
with
Yes.
due
So,
course of
ma'am,
time.
with that, so most of the time, a person doesn't know how he or she can identify the patterns of behavior or thought that may
Hmm.
be rooted in past trauma.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
how can mindfulness help individuals identify and break patterns of behavior or thought that may be rooted in past trauma? How can a person find that? How can a person uh, like suggest ki how he should go about it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is not very easy for, I mean, talking about it
Actually.
is a different story. And,
Hmm.
but at the same time, a person who's already going through trauma, it is very, very difficult for them to, say that, okay, be resilient, have strength, have wisdom, and, everybody is there to support you. They may not be connected to all of this.
Actually.
As ma'am mentioned, that the reactive pattern may not be, in the present, but we have to bring that and allow that person to work towards this, the healing process and growing process through the help of a professional. The trained professional can definitely help to understand what trauma it is, how it is impacting, and can help and can guide towards healing it, healing process and the healthier relationship, which probably in trauma one is not even understanding how the healthy relationship may also turn out to be, because he or she is not in control of their own senses, as we have been emphasizing that self awareness is important. So I would say that uh, taking the help from a trained professional would help in this regard to move towards the path of recovery journey.
Yes, I would say there is this therapy called cognitive behavior therapy (CBT), which its basic assumption is to identify those negative thought. What Sneha has said, ki how to identify. It's a professional, matlab for a professional, it is also very difficult to actually identify those negative thoughts. What they actually do is they listen to the client and they try to find some themes. What are the patterns which are coming again and again in the thought process of the client, right? And they identify those themes and they just record those themes on a notebook or somewhere, and they ask the client whether these are the thing you are thinking about again and again, right? So this is the process of cognitive behavior therapy. What happens in mindfulness is ki whatever is coming, right? Don't In cognitive behavior therapy we try to reframe those or restructure those negative thought, or reframe those negative thought into some positive thing, right? That is what happens in CBT. But in mindfulness, you don't have to do anything with those thoughts. Just let it go. Just accept and let it go. This is how mindfulness practitioners helps the client to don't react, don't give any reaction to those thoughts, and let it be there. Don't react, just acknowledge, just identify and accept it. Just accept it. You don't have to react or don't have to judge whether it was good or bad or profitable, or there is some loss. No, not at all. Just be there with those difficult thoughts with you for a moment, for this moment of time. Just be there. That is how it works. But yes, it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice.
Techniques like grounding and anchoring use of five senses to connect to the present moment. I mean, probably when the person is going through it, it is not very easy for them to understand that.
Not at all.
Work on your
No.
five senses, and so working with a professional who is mindful expert or who is trauma informed mindful practitioner, they can help you to modify the meditational practices along with maintaining the balance of our multi-sensory triggers. And the techniques are there, and professionals are also there to help to train and guide them how to work as in the present and allow them to heal from the disturbing past events.
Actually.
Okay, ma'am. So most of the times, what happens is that most of the time, whenever we are in a conflict, we forget about mindfulness. Right? We forget how to be mindfully present in a moment and what to say, what not to say. Right?
Hmm.
So, can we know some more strategies for incorporating mindfulness into conflict?
Yes, I would say whenever you are in a conflict situation, there are conflicts in opinion, there are differences in thought processes. y- Just pause and take a deep breath. First step. First step, whenever you are in a conflicting moment, you just have to pause. You have to don't react, don't just uh, say something just to stop the other person. Don't speak, just stop it now.
Yes, ma'am.
No, no.
Yes, ma'am. I think that's the hardest part.
Very,
That,
very much,
that
very
we are
hard.
unable to do that.
Right. But you will see the magic then. I can definitely say
Absolutely.
when you take a pause now, you will see the magic. You will have this clarity ki whether what was the intention of the other person, what was his perspective. You will open up. What happened whenever you are angry? Na, you have this tunnel vision. Ki this is the thing I have to say, and this is the truth. All other things are just false, just wrong, and I have to be assertive about it. No, things not goes that way when in a conflicting situation. No, the other person is not in a moment to listen to you, and you are stuck to prove your point. No, in conflicting situation, it is not going to work. Just take a pause, take a deep breath, and with some clarity, with some open mindedness, listen to the other person, listen mindfully, and the other person must see कि yes, you are really interested in what his perspective is. Right, this is I think this is the first step you must take, anyone should take in this conflicting situation.
And ma'am, conflicting resolution is not about winning or losing it.
Yeah,
It's all about,
exactly.
finding the common grounds and maintaining the
Hmm.
positive relationship.
Right,
So
right.
even when a person is, not okay, we have to, as ma'am mentioned, I mean, ma'am is giving us a very easy tip to, follow, which we do it on regular basis. If I get to
Hmm.
have something as an alarm, I also have to, sit in a pause and,
Take
have
a deep
have
breath.
a, concentration on my breathing. I need to understand that what is happening, what is the time right now. So all of this we learn over the period of time. And it is very well said. Somewhere I read about it that the person who is in the adversity, he is an expert of his own experiences, but he needs to just have awareness about how to handle the situation. We all
Hmm.
learn, in childhood. We have seen our parents how they are handling situation, and we learn from them. From our peer group, we learn. From our teachers, we learn. From our social surroundings, there's so much that we learn. But when a person has not been getting the social support, then it becomes more tricky. And in that uncertain times, it is very, very difficult for a person to understand that I need help, I need to seek help to work on myself. So probably we are looking forward to have the mindful, you know um, conference amongst the researchers, also the practitioners, and probably the mental health professionals and the advocates who are going to help us spread the word across that it is not difficult, it is easy to work on one's own self, loving one's own self, having self compassion. So, as ma'am mentioned, that knowing about my own self, my inner responses, and how I need to handle it
What?
with care for my own self is what is mindfulness going to help by giving us the understanding of how to handle our conflicts.
Right.
Thank you so much, Preeti ma'am. Thank you so much, Kancha ma'am, for such an insightful conversation. So, we will end our episode here. And thank you so much for joining us today on our journey through mindful trauma management and happy relationships. So, for the viewers, remember, with mindfulness and compassion, we can navigate life's challenges and cultivate deeper connections. So, until next time, stay mindful and keep nurturing those relationships. Thank you so much, guest speakers. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Looking
Thank you,
forward to
Sneha.
16th and 17th. Let's all come together
Yeah.
and help nurture each other with compassion for self and compassion for our communities. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you, Sneha. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sneha. Thank you, Deepika, ma'am. And
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Deepika, ma'am.
thank you so much, ma'am.